The story happens in Stillwater, where we meet Bill, a hard-working guy who works on an oil rig and is dealing with the tough situation of losing his job. As he goes through the ups and downs of life, he starts looking for part-time work in construction, and from time to time, he visits his sick ex-mother-in-law, Sharon. Sharon is not feeling well and needs an oxygen tank to help her breathe. Bill helps her around her small home. Sharon is thankful for his help and gives Bill a bunch of things to give to his beloved daughter, whom he's going to meet soon. When Bill enters his daughter's room, he feels a lot of emotions as he collects some of her favorite pictures to bring with him. The next scene takes place at an airport, where Bill notices a shiny gold necklace in a gift shop with the word Stillwater on it. This unexpected find is the start of a journey that will take him far from his home to the beautiful city of Marseille in France. When Bill arrives in Marseille, he goes to a nice Best Western hotel, and the hotel staff treat him like they've known him for a long time. He goes to his room and is really looking forward to resting. But there's loud music coming from the room next door, and it's breaking the quiet. Bill can't ignore it, so he goes out onto his balcony, and even though he feels a bit unsure, he goes to talk to the person making the noise. He finds out that the lady in that room can't speak English, so they can't understand each other. But Bill doesn't give up. He's a kind person, so he decides to do something nice. He puts together a special package and goes to a nearby prison. The prison knows him because he comes to visit often. He's waiting patiently for his turn, and he really wants to see his daughter, Allison. Unfortunately, she's in prison because she was involved in the death of her girlfriend, Lena, and a lot of people know about it. Even though the news always says Allison is guilty, Bill firmly believes she didn't do it, and Allison also says she's innocent. She tells Bill that on the night Lena was killed, she was with another person named Akim. But Allison is still in prison, and she has many years to go before she can leave. She gives Bill a letter and tells him how crucial it is. Bill promises to give the letter to Allison's lawyer. He really wants to find out the truth and help his daughter. But when he tries to give it to the lawyer, Mrs. Leparc, she's not there. Bill doesn't want to leave the letter with anyone else, so he decides to come back when the lawyer can read it herself. Back at the hotel, Bill notices a young girl named Maya, who is stuck outside the room next to his. He's worried about her safety, so he takes her to the front desk and makes sure she gets a new room key. He had no idea that this small act of kindness would be very important later in his journey. Finally, it's time for Bill to meet with Allison's lawyer, Mrs. Leparc. Everyone is excited and anxious. The letter is translated from French, and it might be the key to helping Allison get out of prison. But Mrs. Leparc gives Bill some really bad news. She says that they have tried everything they can legally, and there's not much hope left for Allison. When Bill got back to the hotel, he got a surprise. Virginie, the lady from the balcony next to his, came to thank him for helping her daughter, Maya. Bill was surprised because he thought she couldn't speak English. He felt a little embarrassed and said sorry for the misunderstanding. Virginie explained why she and Maya were at the hotel. Their new apartment wasn't ready yet, so they needed a place to stay temporarily. She was really nice and offered to help Bill with anything he needed. Bill was very curious and determined to help his daughter, so he asked Virginie if she could translate Allison's letter. He thought the letter might have important information that could help his daughter get out of trouble. As Virginie started to translate the letter, she suddenly realized who Bill and Allison really were. The letter had important information. It said that one of Allison's professors had been told by a student in his program that they heard someone bragging about stabbing someone and not getting caught. Allison asked Mrs. Leparc to look into this lead because she didn't trust Bill to handle such a serious matter. Bill was determined to get justice for his daughter. He went back to Mrs. Leparc's office with hope in his heart, but someone else who worked there told him that Mrs. Leparc had decided not to help with the case anymore. Bill was really frustrated and sad. They offered him information about private investigators, but he left feeling angry because he couldn't afford their services. When Bill saw Allison again, he couldn't bring himself to break her newfound hope, so he told her a lie. He said that Mrs. Leparc was still looking into things, and Allison felt hopeful and happy. Back at the hotel, Bill asked a friendly hotel staff member for help finding the professor's contact information. He went to the university to meet the professor. Bill gave the professor the contact info of the girl who had the information about Akim, which could help solve the mystery. But the professor said he couldn't translate for Bill because he was worried about how it might look, even though he believed Allison might be innocent. Bill left the professor's office with good wishes but a heavy heart, determined to find the truth no matter what challenges he faced. Bill really wanted to find out the truth, so he asked the nice hotel staff for Virginie and Maya's address. He also bought a toy for Maya to make her happy. With the toy in hand, Bill went to see Virginie and tell her what was happening. She was thankful for his help and agreed to help him get in touch with the girl who might have important information for Allison's case. Bill offered to help Virginie with plumbing and electrical work for her new apartment, which was really nice of him. She said yes, and they became good friends. Virginie also offered to go with Bill to meet the young woman and help translate for him. As Bill and Virginie traveled together, they shared more about themselves. Virginie, who is an actress, told Bill that she didn't have a close relationship with Maya's father, who lived far away. Bill shared his own story, saying that Allison's mother had tragically taken her own life. He explained that Allison was raised by her grandmother while he worked on oil rigs. Bill also confessed that he had struggled with drugs and alcohol in the past, which was a difficult time in his life. When they reached their destination and met the young woman, things didn't go as expected. She had brought a friend with her, and this friend was very aggressive and didn't want her to talk about what she had heard. Bill tried to get information from her, but the situation got tense. Virginie was smart and stepped in to tell Bill to back off and avoid making things worse. When they left the young woman's house, Virginie showed Bill the neighborhood where she lived, but she told him that it would be hard for him to gain the trust of the people there because he wasn't from there. At the same time, Allison told Bill something worrying about her parole hearing. She had talked to someone from Mrs. LeParc's office, but it seemed like they didn't know about the things she had talked about before. Bill promised her that he would take care of it. Virginie, who was always resourceful, looked at the pictures from the party where the confession happened. She printed them out, hoping to find a picture of Akim. Her plan was to show the photos to Allison so she could recognize him. But Bill didn't agree with the idea and said no. Virginie was confused but asked if anyone else could recognize Akim. Bill remembered the bar owner who had seen him, so Virginie and Bill decided to talk to him for answers. At the bar, when they showed the photos of the young people, most of whom were Middle Eastern immigrants, the bar owner made a troubling comparison to Mexicans in America. He said he would lie and accuse any of them because he believed they were all guilty of something. After witnessing the bar owner's racism, Virginie couldn't take it anymore and left in a hurry. She couldn't stand such prejudice. She got into a heated argument with Bill, wondering how he could ignore such bigotry. But Bill was focused on getting Allison out of prison. Virginie was so frustrated that she said she didn't want to help Bill anymore, and she walked away because she was so angry. At the same time, Sharon was worried about how much Mrs. LeParc's services were costing. She called Bill to get some answers because Allison had told her they had hired the lawyer again. But Bill's answers were confusing, and Sharon didn't understand. She threatened to call Mrs. LeParc, even though Bill begged her not to. Time was running out, so Bill rushed to the prison to see Allison. She was confused, really angry, and hurt by all the problems with her case. Bill begged her to look at the photos, hoping she could recognize Akim. Finally, Allison was able to identify him. With the photos in hand, Bill went to the place where the project was happening. He showed Akim's picture to the local people there, but no one wanted to help him. Some young guys started teasing him, and things got violent. They beat Bill up really badly. Just when things seemed hopeless, Akim showed up, and one of the guys showed him the picture that proved Bill was looking for him. Virginie rushed to the hospital to see Bill, who was badly hurt and covered in bruises. He told her that he had given the only contact he had. Later, Bill met with Allison and told her the truth. He explained that he had to do things on his own because Mrs. LeParc wasn't willing to help. Bill proudly said he had found Akim, but Allison was very angry. She asked why Bill didn't take the photo to the police, which allowed Akim to get away. She felt really disappointed and said she wanted to cut ties with him. 4 months later, Bill was still in France, working in construction. He lived with Virginie and paid rent. Bill became a big part of Maya's life. He picked her up from school and even taught her how to fix things in the basement. Virginie was casually dating a local theater director. Then Mrs. Leparc got in touch with Bill and said Allison could have parole for 1 day each month. Since there were no other options for her care, Bill agreed to supervise her during these visits. He asked Virginie if it was okay, and she said it was fine for Allison to come and visit. On the day of Allison's parole, Bill picked her up in his construction truck. He told her about his new job, but Allison confessed that she hadn't been reading his letters. They first went to buy flowers and then went to Lena's grave. Allison put the flowers there with care. After that, they went to a peaceful place by the water, and Allison shared her complicated feelings about Lena. She said she loved her deeply but felt hurt when Lena started dating other people after moving in with her. Allison really wished she could see Lena one more time. Later, they went to Virginie's apartment, where she had made dinner for them. During the meal, Allison asked an awkward question about Bill and Virginie's relationship, which made Bill feel embarrassed. They both assured her that they weren't romantically involved. While Bill and Maya played together, Allison talked to Virginie. She noticed that Bill seemed happy, but she also warned Virginie about something from the past. Allison remembered how Bill let her mother's things get lost because he didn't pay for storage. She saw similarities to her own struggles. When Bill brought Allison back to the prison, she surprised him with a warm hug and said she was happy for him. Then Bill got a phone call and had to rush to the hospital. Allison had tried to do the unthinkable to herself. When Bill came back home, he found comfort in Virginie's presence. The next day, Maya saw them asleep in the same bed, still wearing their clothes from the night before. Life continued as usual, with Bill spending a lot of time with Maya and even going to see one of Virginie's plays, even though he didn't understand the language. After the play, they had a meal together and both admitted they were thinking about having a deeper relationship. Their romantic relationship started, and Maya saw it happen. To make Maya happy, Bill surprised her with tickets to a soccer game, which she really enjoyed. But during the game, Bill saw Akim in the crowd, which shocked him. He quietly followed Akim from the game to a restaurant, with Maya coming along. When Maya fell asleep, Bill took Akim and tied him up in the basement with tape. Bill asked DeRosa for help and offered to pay him to get a sample of Akim's hair for a DNA test. DeRosa was worried about whether this was legal, but Bill was determined to get the proof he needed, no matter the consequences. There was a big secret in their home because Maya told Bill that she knew about the man in the basement. Bill told her how dangerous he was and begged her to keep it a secret. Bill was stressed out while waiting for the DNA test results, and he ended up keeping Akim in the basement longer than he planned. He had to feed Akim and wait for the results, and it was really hard on him. During one of his visits to the basement, Akim begged Bill to let him go. He said he was only doing what Allison told him, and that she paid him with a gold necklace. Bill didn't believe him at first, but then Akim said the word Stillwater, which was on the necklace. This shocked Bill, and he put duct tape over Akim's mouth before leaving. Desperate for answers, Bill called Sharon and asked about the Stillwater necklace he gave Allison during the trial. But Sharon didn't remember anything about that necklace, which confused Bill. The next day, Virginie saw DeRosa outside the apartment. She asked him what he was doing there, and he said he was a building inspector and wanted to know if there were any strange noises or smells from the basement. Virginie was suspicious, but she stayed calm and asked for his contact information. He refused and left, leaving her feeling uneasy as she looked at the basement door. Later, when Bill picked Maya up from school, she said that she wanted to know if he planned to hurt the bad guy. Bill was shocked by her question, and he told her that he would never do such a thing. He promised to always protect her and her mom. When they got back home, the police suddenly showed up and surrounded them. They took Maya away from Bill and asked to go into the basement. Bill thought he was going to be arrested, so he unlocked the basement door, but there was no one there. Back at the apartment, the police talked to Bill, Virginie, and Maya. The main investigator asked Maya about her recent trips to the basement. At first, Maya lied and said she had been there yesterday, but the investigator warned her not to lie and said Bill might be arrested. Even under pressure, Maya kept saying she had been in the basement yesterday. The police left and things were still tense. Virginie, who had let Akim go, sent Maya to her room and talked to Bill. She wanted to know the truth. Bill confessed to everything, including how he saw Akim at the soccer game with Maya. When Virginie heard this, she told Bill he had to leave. Even though he said he didn't mean to involve them, Virginie insisted that he had to go right away. Bill, feeling torn and sad, goes to say goodbye to Maya, but she won't talk to him. He packs his things and gets ready to leave. Virginie convinces Maya to come out and say goodbye to Bill. They both cry and hug each other before saying goodbye. Bill goes back to the Best Western Hotel, and he gets a call from Mrs. LeParc, asking him to meet with her. She tells him that they found DNA evidence that matches the crime scene and connects to another robbery. She says this is really good news for Allison. As a result, Allison is released from prison, and she celebrates her freedom by getting a tattoo of Lena's name. Back in Stillwater, the town celebrates Allison's freedom and her return. After the party, Bill and Allison have a heartfelt talk. Bill asks about the necklace he gave her at the airport, and she finally tells the truth. She says she gave it to Akim, hoping he would get Lena out of her apartment. She didn't expect what happened next. Allison is scared that Bill might hate her, but he tells her that she's his daughter, and he could never feel that way about her. Later, they sit together on the porch and look at their surroundings. Allison thinks everything looks the same, but Bill says it all looks different to him now, and he's really sad about it. So, the moral of the story is when your daughter's freedom depends on a basement and a soccer game, you've officially scored an own goal in life.